Herb in Atlanta, you're on the air. Go ahead.
The Alex Jones Show.
Hey, Alex.
Hello, sir. Go ahead.
Hey, Muppets and puppets and demons. Oh my, you covering it all today, buddy. But you know something, Alex? I'm getting physically ill looking at all politicians except Ron Paul. Let me say something about Ron Paul right quick. I read in an article that he made a passionate plea on the floor of the House of Representatives to get rid of the Federal Reserve System, to repeal the Federal Reserve Act.
He also called for their arrest.
Go ahead.
He also called for their arrest a month ago on this show, and the general public still not. We have to have that idea in our head. These are criminals that engineered this banking collapse. They shouldn't be given more power.
Absolutely not. I think it's utterly pathetic that these people are now claiming that they have some kind of sovereign authority, that they're above the law, and all of this crap was set up during a lame duck session of Congress. I try to tell people this, yet they control everything about the U.S. economy, and you know what? That is why our government, as you say, is basically corrupt and illegitimate, because the empty shirt politicians, they are elected based on what they're willing to do for the Federal Reserve System. And I want to ask you a quick question about Barack Obama before I ask you about Rambo Emanuel. Now, do you think that the CIA is gonna somehow magically produce a copy of his birth certificate? And if they do that, what about his medical records that have been sealed?
You know, I don't know what's going to happen. In a way, whether he's an American or not, I'm not saying it's a distraction or a diversion. It's a substantive issue. But it becomes a red herring from just the issues he supports. Total banker takeover of the society, domestic drafts, police squads, tattletale squads, carbon taxes that will fully bankrupt our economy and that will make more carbon be produced because it will make all the industry go to India and China where they have no carbon restrictions. I mean, even if you believe that carbon dioxide is a deadly chemical weapon that must be banned, oh goodness, plants breathe it, which of course is pure bull, but let's just say that's true, then why would you do what the government studies show would actually increase the overall output of CO2, because it'll just cause it to move to the third world nations that aren't under this. This is a tax. This is control. So that's why I'm really most against Barack Obama.
When you was talking with Jack McLam about the female preachers, he mentioned that when the government goes after, I want y'all to hear me very well, when the government goes after the Second Amendment, then that's when they will get their war for the damn republic. Now, it's time to have Jack McLam back on, because now this is exactly what these profligate, illegitimate demons are talking about through this Rambo Emmanuel. Who gave him this name? The name Emmanuel means God with us. We got a dressed up demons amongst us, Alex. And as far as these politicians are concerned, that's my honest assessment.
Yeah, Rahm Emanuel means high with God, or in the high place with God. I appreciate your call, sir. Here's that Bloomberg report I talked about yesterday. Fed defies transparency aim and refusal to identify bank loans. Then it says $2 trillion of emergency loans from American taxpayers and the troubled assets the central bank is accepting as collateral. And they're just saying it's secret. But everybody keeps talking about $700 billion. That's a distractionary amount that they are talking about there. So they are really throwing this in our face. Here's one. This was reported in the German and Austrian newspapers. The University of Veterinary Medicine in Vienna did a study with mice and found that it sterilized them and lowered their birth weights and caused all sorts of problems with just one type of Monsanto maize. So I wanted to show that to everybody who's watching at prisonplanet.tv. The headline there, of course, is genetically modified maize lowers fertility in mice. Study finds. This is one of the big newspapers over in the United Arab Emirates. It's the National. And they had a big global meeting on the future of banking there last week, or over the weekend, and guess who was there? This guy, Baron David de Rothschild, the head of the Rothschild Bank. The Rothschilds have helped the British government since financing Wellington's army to fight the French in 1815. That's actually when they bankrupted it by design. And they actually admit that in the article and say that this guy basically runs world banking. And then they have him bragging about how they're setting up a new world order, world government out of this crisis. The first barons of banking is that headline for everybody out there that wants to check it out. And then you can open it up to the second page, and it gets into the New World Order. It gets into global government. It's all right there in the article for anybody that that wants to read it. It's all there for the people that want to see it. So there's that report. Continuing, Russia is rejecting U.S. missile proposals, and that's out of Reuters. The United States and NATO have moved all sorts of weapon systems and systems to shoot down Russian missiles right up against their border in Poland, Czechoslovakia, Ukraine, Georgia, and NATO admits in its doctrine. We're going to go ahead and punch this up on screen. Here you go. Russia rejects U.S. missile proposal. The Kremlin on Wednesday rejected U.S. Proposals aimed at easing concerns over a missile defense system in Europe and said it would try again to resolve the fight once Barack Obama is in the White House. Russia says the planned U.S. system will threaten its national security and that the administration of George Bush, which leaves office in January, has failed to allay its concerns. And then they, in an asinine fashion, come out and say that it's for Iran. It's to fight terrorists. So they're just stirring up wars with Russia. By the way, Barack Obama has announced that he's going to have lobbyists in his administration and donors. That was all lies, and he's not getting rid of Guantanamo Bay, and he's not getting out of Iraq, and he's not getting rid of torture, and he's not getting rid of warrantless wiretapping.